What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Renneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for checking out another episode of the Dawgs podcast. Before we dive into this episode, remember to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and please head over to YouTube and subscribe. Well, we've made it to the bye week, and it couldn't have come at a better time. We're sitting at a good spot, 5-3, with a very favorable schedule after the bye. But I feel like the bye came at a great time because, man, we really need to get healthy all over the place.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I know we're going to get into some stuff, get into injuries and all that kind of stuff, but especially after that game on Sunday. And, I mean, I tell you what, I had a great spot on my nice, warm living room, my couch in there. It was great, but not so much for Justin.
No, it was miserable. And to say miserable, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're diehard out here, but, I sent these guys a video. I couldn't even stand up, trying to get to my seat. It was so windy. And then I'm pretty sure after the first quarter, I had to walk down the stairs, and pretty sure I tore my ACL or MCL, and it still isn't recovered. But yeah, it was definitely not a terrible snow game, but it was cold. It was very cold, very windy.
Now, who had the worst weather? Was it you or was it Blake and the hurricane?
It was definitely me. It was definitely me. I would like to take that.
So no lie, quick story about this. The first day we're there, we get a hurricane. Apparently, they sent a letter out earlier in the day saying you need to be out of your rooms by 8, be at this spot, this nice, safe spot. We didn't get this letter. We just thought we were going to ride this thing out in our room. I'm watching the Monday Night Football game, the Spanish version, and we fall asleep. And all of a sudden, some dude busts in our room at 10:30 and drags us out, takes us to this safe spot. Winds howling, debris everywhere. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
And you slept on...
And then I slept on what was essentially like a beach bed. And I'm looking at a lot of these people got nice ones with thick pads. Mine was just plastic. Nice. I should have just slept on the floor. It was awful.
You got to upgrade to the honeymoon suite or whatever?
Yeah. We picked a good time to have a ocean view room. We got to see the hurricane coming in at us.
It's funny because when we went on our honeymoon, I remember watching the Cavs were in the finals against the Warriors, watching it in Spanish, and I'm like, whatever, I just want to see the game.
Yeah. It is, I got to watch that. I got to watch Monday night. I got to watch Thursday night game, so it was kind of nice. But we got back in our room about 7 o'clock, started getting some better weather, and for you guys looking at home, I got this luscious tan, so it worked out all right.
Don't you always have that luscious tan?
This is true. I'm a good-looking guy. What can I say? Well, enough about me. Let's get into this a little bit. Injuries as far in this game. Really the only one that really popped up was Myles Garrett. Had that knee injury really limited in this game, which killed our already awful defense. You would think, maybe Myles Garrett goes out, somebody else is going to step up. No, they just laid down. Good news about Myles Garrett, though, is MRI showed no real structural damage, and they're hopeful to have him back. I think I saw they wanted to have him back at practice maybe, and if not at practice, he should be back for the Texans game. So that's big news for the defense. If there's one guy we can't afford to play without, it's Myles Garrett right now.
Especially against the Texans because Deshaun Watson will just have his way back there if we're not pressuring him.
Yeah, it was shocking seeing Olivier Vernon making plays. I was like, who is this guy?
Right after we put him on the trade block, he's like, okay. Yeah, I can get out of here if I can just put a couple good games together.
No, you can't.
No,
actually, it turns out, did not get traded.
Yeah, so like Blake said, Myles Garrett getting hurt. He only played 33 snaps in the limited fashion. He was able to be on the field out of our 72 snaps that the defense was on the field. Claiborne and Port Augustin kind of filled in while Garrett was out. And, it was kind of we bragged up how Claiborne looked the first couple games of the year. I mean, he's been irrelevant since
non-existent.
Then. So as bad as the defense was, we kind of look at Olivier Vernon as being like, oh, I guess he had 2 sacks. He was probably our best defender.
No, he was atrocious.
Name somebody who was better, though, in the game.
Nobody.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why we lost. Yeah.
Right.
which we're going to get into what went bad, which is, you remember some of these games, you're like, man, look at this what went right section. It's a whole page, and what went wrong is really shrinking. And then 2 out of the last 3 weeks, it's been a lot more what went wrong. And it almost seems like it's always on one side of the ball.
Yep.
It's so bad.
Every week.
Well, the good thing is the trade deadline was just passed, and we made a lot of moves to help
Absolutely.
that side of the ball.
Zach, go into those moves that we made.
I got that in here too.
Yeah, we got a couple studs, right?
Yeah.
No?
By studs, you mean like
Practice squad
Kentucky
players.
Derby horses that we're going to run next year? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't think we did that.
No.
Well, not a lot went right in this game. I guess one thing, no significant injuries, so that's always nice, especially going into the bye. Nationally, Baker's kind of catching flack for this game. People are saying, I thought of all the problems in this game, Baker was not a problem in this game. And I'm probably the toughest one on Baker on this show. And obviously the numbers weren't good, but nobody's going to have good numbers when you're playing in what's essentially a hurricane.
Yeah. The thing is, if you're giving Baker flack, you're looking at the numbers strictly. But, like, watching the game, let's say if he got credited a completion for hitting a receiver in the hands.
Oh my gosh,
he had a super high completion percentage. These guys just dropped the ball left and right.
Yeah, and I thought he did a good job making reads. A couple times he made big throws.
That throw to Jarvis in the end zone
has to be caught.
Pretty. I mean, dang.
The receivers, I got the stat, they dropped 20% of his passes
That's
in this
unreal.
game. That's crazy. I
Well,
mean,
there
it was
you go.
12 for 25 for 122, only averaging 4.9, a pass. But
Nobody's gonna throw
you
it
weren't.
deep.
Yeah, I was trying to think back in the game. We kind of we talked about this, as the game was going on. I don't remember a pass that was completed more than 10 yards down. If you think 10
On
yards
either team.
downfield.
No,
right.
either team. There's
Right.
some-
I mean, Derek Carr, put up. He was 15 to 24 for 112.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was hard to push the ball downfield. Big drops and so many at crucial times. Jarvis in the end zone for the touchdown. David Njoku when we're
third
driving
down,
to just
so
kind of go
bad.
down, tie the game up, and blatantly dropped it. I mean, there was nobody near him. He had the first down and room to run.
Yep.
I love Jarvis, but a couple times this year, man, he's had terrible drops. This
really
game,
has.
this was maybe his worst game as a Cleveland Brown, in my opinion. That drop touchdown has to be caught, and that's a game changer.
Especially by a Pro Bowl receiver he's being relied on as the one right now.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
you got to make that catch.
Here, so this stat right here, I bet you if we look back into box scores of Jarvis's time in Cleveland with Baker, that the stats aren't like 11 targets for Jarvis to only 4 catches. That's normally not the case. Jarvis is getting targeted 10 times a game, but he's catching 8 of them, Getting targeted 12, he's got 10 catches. You never see that big discrepancy of he got 7 times it was thrown to him, he didn't catch the ball.
And they weren't bad throws. No. I honestly, and remind me if I'm forgetting something, but I cannot recall a bad Baker Mayfield pass. Like earlier in the season, we were like, he was throwing the ball right to defenders, triple coverage, all that kind of stuff. I don't remember him making any bad throws.
He had a couple misses, but I think a lot of it was the wind, those misses. But I don't know. He didn't have any of those passes where he just threw to the defense.
Right.
That's what. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
He didn't make the big mistakes like we've seen him make.
Yeah, and so I put in here. I'm going to give the offense a pass in this game. Terrible weather conditions, and then I know you guys always give me a hard time, but we were missing our number 1 receiver, our number 1 tight end, our number 1 running back, and our best offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Not a lot of teams are going to overcome missing the number 1 at literally every major position group. The only person, you say what you want about Odell, but this year he's been our best receiver. He's clearly, to me, he's the number 1.
Maybe he's been the best receiver, but Baker's not been the best quarterback with him on the field. I will still say that even after that, it was hard to judge in that game, because they really couldn't throw the ball a lot. But Baker was, like you said, he was making his reads. He wasn't making bad throws. And that's 2 games now without Odell that he's played like that.
Well, and, kind of the biggest, I think really the biggest story of the game wasn't really our offense. Kind of hard to get going when you play 4 quarters of football and you have 6 drives.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. And, Oakland, it's not like we were turning the ball over and, they had a lot more. They had 7. It was just, they controlled the time of possession. The time of possession was
37,
15 minutes. They had the ball for a whole quarter more than what the Browns did.
I know
that was the biggest thing I thought of the game is we were on defense the entire game. The offense, they'd get rolling. We'd have a drop that cost us the drive. First drive of the game, we're marching down the field. Harrison Bryant fumbles.
That was bad.
Down by the 30-yard line, looked like, hey, we're going to go get things going. We're going to go down, put some points on the board, halts, and then we're behind the whole game from there.
I will say this, though, about the offense, and we're missing Nick Chubb. Because Kareem Hunt's a good running back, but Nick Chubb's special. And, Kareem Hunt, 14 carries, 66 yards. Kareem Hunt should have had way more carries than 14 carries in this game. The problem is we're not getting anything on first and second down, so it's third and long. You got to throw the ball, even in these conditions. Going into this game, this crazy win, I thought this really plays into what the Browns are going to want to do. They're going to want to come out here, impose their will, run the ball. I saw this being a huge day for Kareem Hunt. And then we got no push up front. I think in all the games that we've lost this year, we've just been getting whooped up front on both sides of the ball. And in pass protection, the Browns' offensive line was actually graded at like a 95. Didn't give up any pressures in pass protection. But man, they gotta get some push up front. We have to be able to get positive run yards on first and second down, or else we're going to be throwing every third down. And then in a tsunami, if it's 3rd and 8 and you're throwing the ball, chances are you're not going to pick it up.
That Nick Chubb injury has been devastating as far as what we want to do as a game plan.
Yes.
And everybody that's went out and said, "Oh, that Kareem Hunt signing, Nick Chubb's gone."
Yeah, right.
You guys tell me
if you still feel that way.
Yeah, if you really, really feel like that, tell me. And Kareem Hunt is extremely talented. He's a number one guy, but there's a reason that we had those two duo it up together.
Yes.
And
Chubb is different.
Having Wyatt Teller off that offensive line, too, I think is really making a difference.
It's killing us. Yeah. We need him to get back.
And again, it's just so crazy because, like we keep saying, we didn't even know who was going to play that position on the line. And now we got a guy that we're like, we need him. We have to have this guy.
We need him back bad because the run game has suffered. Kareem Hunt just doesn't look as explosive as Nick Chubb.
Yeah,
he doesn't break the tackles that Nick Chubb breaks.
Right.
And there's a huge difference when Nick Chubb comes in and he wears them down for 2-3 quarters, and then Kareem Hunt comes in and goes against a tired defense, and then Kareem Hunt tears them up. But right now, you're asking Kareem Hunt to do everything. I mean, Dearness Johnson had that good game against the Cowboys, which everybody has, and then he hasn't done anything since.
I think I saw 14 carries for 36 yards since that Dallas game.
Yeah, we thought maybe he was going to slide into what Kareem Hunt was doing, and it's almost to an extent like we haven't done that, one, because I think Stefanski and the coaching staff knows he's no Kareem Hunt to the Nick Chubb, duo, so he's not going to fill that role, so we're going to have to, maybe throw a little bit more. Kareem Hunt's going to play 3 downs. In watching Kareem Hunt, he doesn't have that explosiveness. I know he was kind of injured. He was out of football for a long time. He's not the same running back as he was in Kansas City. Explosiveness-wise, quickness-wise. I got tired of seeing the safeties coming from we're running to the right. They're coming off the left side of the line and chasing him down from behind.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan Abram, really good young safety, but every time, it felt like, okay, Nick Chubb's got a big hole, and then all of a sudden here comes a safety from behind and stops him for a 5-yard gain where we're getting 20, 30 before he's even getting touched on plays. So that was evident that they were able to just catch up to him from behind, and we weren't able to get anything going. 14 carries for 66 yards is pretty good, but
that's not bad.
We're expecting in this offense and this type of game, like you said, Blake, 20 carries at the least should have been. I mean, look at Josh Jacobs, 31 carries for 128 yards.
And completely dictated the pace of the game. Completely.
And you could argue that their most explosive runner was Devontae Booker.
Yeah.
I know he only had 5 carries for 29 yards, but every time he carried the ball, I'm like, man, they can't tackle this guy. He's getting hit. He's taking guys with him 6 yards down the field.
Here's a huge problem with the Browns and why Nick Chubb only Kareem Hunt 14 carries, 3 of 10 on third down.
Yeah,
can't convert any third downs. Yeah. So I mean, you're not going to get that many carries when we're living in 3rd and long. So it's I don't know. Sometimes Stefanski, I think, calls really good games, and then other times I think he doesn't call great games. And I also, you go into this game with these wins, then you're also handicapped. So you needed your line to step up and really get some push up front. You needed our line to do what Oakland's line did.
Yeah.
And which I'm going to get into. I think our defensive line, which I guess this is more into the what went wrong, because that's about all that went right.
Well, to help your transition here, I was going to say, like, we weren't just handicapped by any, it was the weather. It was the fact that we couldn't throw the ball real well because of the winds. Our offensive line wasn't getting pushed, but our offense was handicapped by how terrible our defense played.
Yes.
And we talked about that at the beginning. Yeah. We didn't have the ball.
Yeah, they were 8 of 14 on third down themselves.
And how much of that was in the second half? Were they almost perfect in the second half?
Well, their drives, just for the whole game, here's their drive. So 10 plays, first drive, they missed a field goal because of the wind.
Yeah,
that was your first
crazy.
tell. Like, you could see, like, obviously they were like, oh, the wind's really bad. And then he kicked that field goal, and it was like a golf shot shank that he hit.
I heard they said it was the boomerang kick.
Yeah, it was so bad. The wind just pushed that ball. So, okay, then Browns, we end up fumbling. Then they go 3 plays punt. After that, 16 plays, 12 plays, 15 plays, 13 plays, 6 plays to end the game.
Well, and it helps too when Josh Jacobs just takes the handoff and gets 6-7 yards.
Well, and that's what I hate.
Every rush.
Yes.
He ran the ball 31 times. Did our defense not think he was going to get the ball?
Well,
when he was in the game, let's stop the running back.
We're like yelling too. We're like, hey, stack the box then. I mean, literally, there's 30-mile-an-hour winds. Hey, let's put everybody in the box. Good luck throwing the ball because nobody could do it. So why didn't we adjust to that? We don't adjust out of half anyway. Like, I've noticed that, like, we kind of just stick to our game plan.
And Blake kind of brought this up after, I think it might have been last week's game. We keep putting it on our defensive players and the guys that we're putting out there each week on defense. How much is it? Not them, and more coaching. The defensive coordinator and Joe Woods.
I was just about to bring that up. Ogunjobi is a good football player. Myles Garrett is good. Yeah. Olivier Vernon's supposed to be good.
Yes.
Richardson.
Sheldon Richardson is supposed to be good.
You got Mac Wilson back this week. He played 52 snaps. So, you got your big key linebackers back playing.
Denzel, Carl, this was the biggest thing for me, too, is the secondary. And Carl Joseph, Sendejo, and Kevin Johnson were all good players before they came to the Browns. And they all suck for us.
Yeah. I mean, I was celebrating when Sendejo made a tackle.
Yeah.
And I think it was twice this game.
So are we sent about 5 text messages.
Yeah.
So are we not putting them in the right position? I don't know enough about. I don't get the special coaches cut of the film where I can just watch the secondary, and I'm not in the coaches meetings where I get to hear strategy. But it's just crazy to me that we bring in 3 supposed to be very solid signings for the Browns, and they all 3 have been huge letdowns. I don't understand what's going on in the secondary.
Sendejo, whenever I watch, and I specifically watch him on plays, he just looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, he's just kind of running around like, I'm going to go this way. And
I will say one thing. Me and Blake, I think we've all joked around about it. Sendejo in coverage, probably one of the worst football players I've ever gotten to see personally. Sendejo making a tackle, that guy lays the wood. But here's the thing is, it's not good enough for me. Like, I remember the 40-yard blown coverage.
Yes.
Literally, guys just running through the middle. If you don't even have to put a double move on him. Like, you can just be like, oh, hey, by the way, bro, I'm going to run straight up the middle. I'll see you in the end zone. I'm going to get a touchdown right now. And it works every time.
So I will say that one bright spot about our defense was late in the game where the Raiders were driving down. They got into, right at the goal line, could have really put it away. I mean, they still, went up 10, went up 2 possessions, but they score a touchdown there, and you're thinking, man, this is really over because it ended up being 16-6. So I kind of credit them a little bit, and I thought for sure that they were just going to go for it, especially John Gruden. I'm like, they're going to go for it, and they're going to get this touchdown, and said maybe we'll get lucky and we'll have to go 99 yards to get back in this game. Yeah. But I mean, that was really it. That was the only time that we did anything to where we stopped them. And what do you do at the goal line on defense? You pack the box so because they're going to run the ball. And guess what? You prevented them from getting 5 yards on 3 plays.
But we couldn't do that for the other what? How many rushing yards did they have?
209?
Yeah, 208.
208.
Yeah, you're telling me we couldn't do that for anything else I mean.
Here's the thing, too, is you hear people screaming about the linebackers. We're getting no linebacker play. But if your D-line is soft and getting pushed back into the linebackers, or they're not eating up blocks and so guards just have a free pass up to the linebackers, they can't do anything. Linebackers weigh 210 pounds. These offensive linemen weigh 300 pounds. If they get up on them, what are they supposed to do? To me, our D-line, there are times this year, and by times I mean every single game, that we look incredibly soft up front. The Steelers just whooped on us. The Raiders are not a good rushing team. The announcers on TV kept talking about how all season they've struggled to run the ball.
Josh Jacobs was, I think, the lowest yards per carry average coming into the game in the league for running back.
This was his first 100-yard game of the year.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. We're going up against a guy that I think it was like 3-something yards a carry.
He's very talented, though.
And you should have known.
Very, very good.
Sure, but that's a product of the offensive line, the team.
Right.
And we let them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we should have known that they were going to run the ball. It was 40-mile-per-hour winds. They were one-dimensional. The same thing as us. We were one-dimensional. What do you want to do as a defense all the time? You want to make the offense be one-dimensional. The weather did that for us, and we still couldn't stop the run.
No, they were excited to be one-dimensional because it was working.
Yeah. I mean, we looked incredibly soft up front, just getting beat down over and over and over again. And as much as we make fun of Sadejo, sometimes he's the only one on our defense that brings any kind of oomph to a tackle.
Right. He might
it's usually after somebody else has him wrapped up or the guy's falling down and he's diving in there. I'm like, what are you doing, Sadejo?
It's because the defense, I don't know what we got to do, but it's bad. And then, we made no moves at the trade deadline to bolster the defense. And like I told him, to me that tells me that the front office doesn't think we're real contenders this year.
Well, so there's two. I agree with you as far as that, but there's two parts of it. Either what you're saying, they don't think that we're there's a great chance we're gonna be in the playoffs.
No, I mean we're gonna be in the playoffs,
right? But how much
we're pretenders. We're not contenders,
right? But or maybe the value of what we're gonna have to give away was not worth.
Well,
you know what I mean? There's a lot of things.
I agree with that. I saw that if you kind of look, there weren't as many moves this year. There has been in the past.
Hardly anything.
Okay,
Isaiah
so
Ford.
I think there was a few sellers out there. Now we threw out some names. We got Adam Thielen and Harrison Smith. We were throwing out kind of like pipe dream, like, hey, this would be awesome to try to get this Odell type move to bring somebody in.
What's the safety from Minnesota though?
Harrison Smith.
I mean, he was on the table, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but I just think that their asking numbers were probably, like Justin said, a little too much.
And you have Grant Talbot.
And kind of into what you said. Yeah. Are we really going to win this year? Do we really want to give away that pick?
That's what I'm saying.
What's their contract?
If we're real contenders, if our team thinks we're one piece away from being in the Super Bowl, or at least a legit shot at the Super Bowl, we would have given away anything they wanted for that piece.
Right. I think there was two big reasons that I feel like we probably felt we weren't that team, and their names are Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens in our division. I think that they were, hey, we're taking a big step in the right direction. We're going to, keep our picks. We're going to keep our cap. We're going to kind of keep that money, and then, we'll see who's a free agent after this year, what kind of moves we can make. Maybe it's a coaching change. Maybe we got to bring somebody else in. Stefanski might have to make that call. If your defense hasn't shown in 16 games to get any type of progression to get better, and it's the same story every week. Browns scored 30 this week, but they gave up 27.
Right.
You don't want to win a lot of football games where your offense, especially our offense, I don't want to put it on Baker. You're like, hey, Baker, I need you to go out there and get me 30, 35 a game.
Yeah, because he's not going to go 22 every game.
Right. You're not playing Cincinnati every week where Baker shines.
Yeah. So, no, I see us being a year out from being real contenders. So I look for the Browns to be really aggressive in the offseason. I think, when these people are free agents and we don't have to give away capital to get them, that kind of thing. So, but I mean, the Browns fan, he was still disappointed that we didn't do anything. I mean, God, we need safety help.
Yeah, we do. But then, we've also talked too about, we still need to see Baker prove this year that he's worth that 5th-year option. And if he's not, then that means the Browns are starting to question it and look elsewhere. So, you know what I mean? Maybe they just did not feel safe giving up any kind of draft capital right now.
Hey, I don't know if
not
you
having
guys
the answers.
saw, but Cowherd says that Jimmy G's done in San Fran.
Looks like it to me too.
I just like to say I said that like 3 weeks ago, and you guys gave me a ton of crap.
He's super hurt.
I don't think
He's super hurt. He's
but
out.
He is done. He's out because he's hurt.
That's the
Right.
problem. He's super hurt all the time. And then even when
Right.
he is healthy, he misses throws that win you a Super Bowl.
It just takes you to the Super Bowl.
Right. He took you to the Super Bowl.
He didn't take you to the Super. That'd be
Running
like
backs
saying
and defense.
that'd be like saying
He's part of the team.
That'd be like saying Baker took us to 5-3. He took us to.
Well, he's the quarterback, so yes, he
So
did.
technically,
He
did.
did. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
So
Technically, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand a little bit. I think that Jimmy G is still a good quarterback. I mean, his starting record is still insane for a starting quarterback. I just don't know if he fits with Kyle Shanahan. I think that's the tension kind of part there in San Fran. San Fran, kind of talking about them real quick. We almost brought Robert Saleh. Saleh, was that
defensive coordinator?
We almost brought him in to be our head coach. It was kind of between him, Stefanski, on who we were going to get. Man, that guy's defense out there in San Fran, they don't have any of their top guys, and they're still top 5 defense in the league.
Yeah, I wish we could hire him to be our D coordinator now.
He's not coming, bro.
Right, be like, hey, man, just come over this way.
I don't think Shanahan, he's not allowed to interview for anything other than a promotion.
Yeah. So a couple things I saw about Andrew Berry's mid-season, press conference that he did. He said that they were active in looking at the trade deadline. They just didn't see anything that was worth the value to give away anything. He said there was a lot less sellers at the deadline. He said he thought it was a result of the expanded playoff field, so you don't got as many teams that are selling at this point in the year because they're still thinking they can make the playoffs with the extra teams that are going to be able to make it. He also, kind of gave his assessment of Baker Mayfield, saying that he's liked what he's seen, halfway through the year, thought he's done a nice job. But his biggest thing was he wasn't happy with the 5-3, which I kind of liked him coming out and saying, because it would have been very easy for him to come out and be like, hey, we're 5-3. I kind of like how the season's going. And he kind of was like, no, there's some things that we got to get, that I know that this team's got to get better at, that I got to, piece together to help push in that direction.
Yeah. And that kind of, I kind of disagree with you, Blake, on the front office thinking that we're not really contenders, because like Zach just said, I mean, it's a good point. If there's not sellers, and if, I'd rather them make no deal than go out and make a bad deal. You know what I mean? And if you look, like we said, there were very few trades yesterday. So there were no sellers. I mean, a lot of teams were probably looking to make some moves and get some depth and, maybe bring in, that one missing piece or whatever, but they just weren't able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think we're contenders this year?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was just checking.
I just say magic happens at the end of the year, guys.
Another big thing, Odell's surgery was set.
Next week, right?
Yep, so he's going to have his surgery. Andrew Berry saying, wanted to make sure we get this, done for him, get it scheduled, help him out however we can. We want him to be healthy and ready to go next year. Is that to trade him next year?
Yes.
Is that to sign him or to, keep him around next year? That's to be determined.
Okay, question.
Get him on the field, get him running, looking good, so we can trade him.
Hypothetical question for you guys. Odell out the rest of the year, okay? Say these next 8 games, Baker doesn't look that good. Do you bring back Odell and ship out Baker? Because maybe Odell's not the problem then.
Well, and everything that I've said about, thinking that we're better off out there without Odell is based on how Baker has played. So you're right. If he plays poorly, I will have to change my assessment on that.
And here's and I want Baker to play well. There's 3 games in the second half of the season that I'm grading Baker on. I could care less how he plays against the Texans and the Eagles and the Jets.
What about the Giants?
And the Giants. I could care less about
Danny
that.
Dimes looked all right last night, just saying.
He looked awful except for one drive. He looked awful.
He's not playing quarterback next year.
No, he is terrible.
I don't think he's terrible. I think that he's talented. He's
we
also
let you
got
on the show
Jason.
if you
He's
don't
got
think he's
Jason Garrett as his quarterbacks coach in New York.
Jason Garrett drew up a perfect play for him, and I think it should have been pass interference at the end of that game. But also,
bad throw. Yeah, I'm not saying that was a great
2
throw.
seconds sooner,
but to say that
win
he's
the game.
terrible, I don't think.
I think Dallas would
2
love to have Jason Garrett back.
I think they'd love to have Daniel Jones.
You don't think Daniel Jones is terrible? He has played 1 game in his NFL career without a turnover. 1 game.
Yeah, the turnovers are bad.
Right.
It's bad.
I can't say that his turnovers aren't bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
he turns the ball over.
Arm talent. He
Jamarcus Russell had
all
great
right.
arm talent.
Here's what I'll say
Don't
about
get me on Jamarcus Russell. We've been over that.
Daniel
How the team sent him
Jones-
home with fake tapes and asked him if he watched him, and he said, "Yeah." Like he went over the.
He's
zone
like
reads and
Bo.
stuff.
What's his face from draft day?
Yeah. Wisconsin quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say Danny Dimes is like a poor man's Mitchell Trubisky,
Yeah.
which isn't good.
No, because Mitchell Trubisky's basically homeless.
I mean, he has a home.
Yeah.
He has a home.
It's probably a way nicer home than mine.
Yeah.
He's actually got a good starter. He's won like 38 games and only lost like 22 games in his career,
Yeah.
and everybody hates on Mitchell Trubisky.
So am I allowed to guess those games that you would like Baker to look good in?
Go ahead.
All right. How about Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Tennessee?
Yes. And the Browns don't need to win those games.
Well, here's the thing. Tennessee, their defense, not that good.
Joe Burrow
No.
lit him up.
Yeah,
Yes.
not that good.
So
Pittsburgh,
if Baker comes out and looks like crap against Tennessee, that scares me because rookie Joe Burrow just lit them up.
Yep.
And the Browns don't need to beat Pittsburgh. They don't need to beat Baltimore, but we have to at least look like we belong on the field with them. We cannot get outscored 70-something to 8 again when we play those two teams, because if we do, in my opinion, he's gone. Because
Well, those are the games you have to win
Yeah.
in order to be a contender, like we said.
Yes, because we're not going to get this schedule. This is the first time in my life we've gotten a schedule like this. Next year we're not. So if we grade Baker on 10 wins against teams with a combined 10-75 record, that's getting us nowhere. I want to see how he does against. I mean, I didn't put the blame on this, but this was a game I really wanted the Browns to win, just to kind of start to change that narrative of, we only beat awful teams. The Raiders, in my opinion, like they're like the Browns.
Average,
Middle
that
of the
have,
road, yeah.
above average offense when they want to be.
Yeah,
But their defense drags them down.
And I put this in here. It sucks to say, but I think if it wasn't 40-mile-per-hour winds, we wouldn't have looked like we belonged on the field with them.
I think our offense would have
Opened up a little
I think
bit.
It would have opened. The biggest thing with their offense that I saw last week was, we threw the ball like the whole second half. We didn't run the ball much at all, and we were spreading the ball around. Now we couldn't do that with the win this week, but it was Jarvis was making plays, both tight ends were making plays, Hollywood was making plays, and Donovan Peoples-Jones was on the field last week for I think 30 plus snaps. Kadero Hodge came back from injury this week, takes all those snaps away, and the guy who just had all that momentum from a week ago played 4 snaps.
Yeah, I don't get that.
and I think Higgins had, one catch?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Entire
I think that, you got to find, as much as, you liked Hodge, and Hodge at the beginning of the year was your guy that you were kind of going to, if, things are, really good from one week to the other, why change if you don't have to? That's the biggest thing. Like, oh, nope, we got the starter back. The starter's going to play.
If anything, Peoples-Jones at least earned some of those snaps.
Yeah, he didn't have to
They
lose
could have went
all of them.
15-15, something,
Right.
Get him, let him see what else he can do, because it's not like Oakland has a crazy good defense.
No, yeah. So that was a little surprising when I was kind of looking through the snap count, part of it, that I was like, man, that's right. I really didn't see DPJ on the field at all.
No. And, maybe the plan was to get him more involved, and, we had the ball 6 times.
Right. But
So,
yeah, and
who knows how much of the plan was thrown out the window, whenever they went on their 18-play drive.
yeah, that was every other
their
drive.
45-minute 18-play drive. So
And it was just terrible. It was like they got the ball right before the half. They just marched all the way down the field. Henry Ruggs, thankfully didn't catch the ball. I think that was at the end of the half, or was that? I think it was the end of the first half.
and it should have been a
And
touchdown.
I thought it was a touchdown. I thought it was a touchdown when they reviewed it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a touchdown.
I think if they call it
was the
touchdown on
play
the
on the-
field,
yes.
it would have stayed. But that's on Ruggs too. That's
my
an
gosh, he
easy
had-
catch for an NFL receiver.
Some of the catches you make in the NFL, some of the catches they make, I mean, that was
he had
so
five, he
easy.
had 5 feet of room,
Yeah,
and he didn't make it obvious that his foot was in.
right.
So I know I remember you were all worried about him coming into this game. And then
Well,
he did
okay,
that.
hold on. You just got done saying it. The weather was awesome. That they were going to light us up. He'd have probably had 300 yards receiving.
I truly believe that if the weather was better, we wouldn't have stopped him. and it would have been quicker scores.
5-play, 100-yard drive.
Early on in the game, they threw it out to him, and he was wide open, but the wind blew it like 15 yards past him.
Yeah.
Because I went, oh, God, well, here we go. He's out there on an island. No one's out there with him.
And I'd like to think if we could have opened up our offense a little bit more, we would have scored more. But, I mean, we dropped 20% of our quarterback's passes as it is. So imagine if we threw the ball 15 more times. How many more drops would we had?
Right.
So
it's true.
That's the thing too. Like, I mean, I get the weather conditions were bad. It was raining. It was snowing. It was hailing. It was sunny. It was windy. It was weird. And
every time we had the ball, I felt like it started like hailing, rain, whatever it was that was happening to you, Justin. The announcers were like, the Browns can't catch a break. Every time they get the ball, it starts to come down.
It was
John Gruden must have been like watching the weather report, and like, okay, let's run a couple more run plays.
He's
okay, now
watching
let's
the
give
Doppler.
that just hunt it now.
He had the radar pulled up. He's like, the sleet will be here in 5 minutes.
It was the first time in 2020 I was excited to have a mask on because my face would have been just back at the lake.
Right.
You know.
It was just one of those games that, you know, that I was really up for as a Browns fan to see us kind of like take the next step. And then I was super disappointed. But then the further we got away from the game, the more I started looking at it deeper. Like I said, I mean, Austin Hooper not only is big in our pass game, but he's been a very good run blocker. We've been missing him the last 2 weeks. You know, Wyatt Teller was the third highest graded player on offense in the NFL before he got hurt. Odell, say what you want, but we're missing his athletic. He would have caught those passes Jarvis dropped. I'm throwing that out there.
I can't argue that. That's a fair argument. And the whole like the Wyatt Teller thing, we kind of thought that was just a week to week thing. So now I'm more worried about like, hey, is this like I'd like to hear some updates on. He's going to be back after the bye. We were just kind of waiting for that.
Yeah,
you're not hearing that.
Yeah, but you're not hearing. It was like, oh yeah, he was questionable to return in that game, and then all of a sudden now we're not seeing him. We're not seeing him.
It's going.
I'm hoping him and Chubb are both back against the Texans.
They said Chubb's on track for
that.
Week
Would
10.
be huge. Yeah. So are we going to preview the rest of the season?
We're going to do that next week.
We're going to do that next week.
Yeah, so next week's going to be our Texans / rest of our season outlook.
Gotcha.
So I did look up, okay? So I did a little research coming into this week to just kind of revisit our preview of where we were at, where we had us at when we did our schedule breakdown at the very beginning.
Interesting. Yes.
So records, me and Blake had us at the bye sitting at 6-2 each.
And we should have been. Beat the Raiders.
Could have been there.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
And in that episode, I'm watching. Me and Blake are like, Blake's like, I didn't do any research on this. I'm just picking off the fly here, and almost had it right. Yeah. So one guy had it right. Justin Charles had us at 5-3.
Yes.
Do you have us losing this game?
No, he had us winning that game. Yeah. He had us
losing to Dallas though.
Yes.
I picked lost to Dallas.
Yep. Which we all kind of did. We all were like, we were like, hey, it's going to be a high-scoring game, like we said, but Dallas is just too good.
Who would have thought, though, that they would just be like the dumpster fire? Mike McCarthy might not be back next year.
I hope.
I don't think he might not make it to the season.
They need to just clean house.
Yeah.
I saw they said that it's all Mike McCarthy's future is all going to be decided on if the team shows like buy-in in the second half of the season, like they're still fighting for him.
Sure,
they're not going. No. They're
not going to. They're starting
their fourth or fifth quarterback.
Gilbert,
Garrett
Gilbert or whatever.
They're starting Gilbert Grape,
Cooper Rush.
That's it.
Those are their two options at quarterback.
I wouldn't pick up either of those guys. I'm in a deep dynasty league, and I wouldn't pick up either of those guys. In
I might have to because Matt Stafford's on the COVID list.
I saw that.
And I inherited a team with only two quarterbacks, so. I'm in trouble there. But, I mean, yeah, like we kind of bragged him up in that episode. You had him at 5-3. Josh was the, realistic one.
Yes.
In the preview, had us at 4-4 at the break.
Still not bad.
Not bad.
It's realistic.
So, I mean, hey, we're right there, and we've shown, I think we're a little bit better. We've performed in some games better maybe than what Josh had thought. But a lot of what Josh said is accurate. Kind of what we said is, I mean, everybody's opinion that we had in those first, 8 games is pretty close to what we're seeing on the field.
Yeah. I don't want to make it seem like we're super smart and we're geniuses, but we're kind of super smart and we're geniuses because I don't know if, like, for the people who watch a show on like a consistent basis, I don't know if you've noticed this, but we'll talk about something that we want to see the Browns do, And then that very next week, they come out and we were screaming about hard counts and Baker needs to be better pre-snap.
Playing at 1 o'clock on Sundays.
They were offsides every play, it seemed like.
I had never seen Baker really use a hard count or anything, and then we screamed about it.
He had like two offsides on the same drive.
Yeah, and I feel like that's happened multiple times this year where we've talked about something on this show, and then they go out and they do it in the game, and I'm like, man.
Well, there's
We're
somebody
damn good at this
somebody
podcast.
somebody in the Browns organization must be listening.
That's what I said. I swear Baker's listen. I'm friends with him on Xbox Live, so he must be looking me up.
He's not playing with you on Xbox Live.
No, you told me you sent him some invites.
Multiple invites and never heard anything.
Every
back.
time I see he's online, I'll message him. I'll send him like party invites.
He's not replying, bro.
No, he ghosts me.
Yeah. So just for fun, just to think about this as Browns fans too, is we're at 5 wins. Just for reflection on like how bad it's been, like even back to last year. Last year we finished with 6 wins. So like Browns fans, don't be discouraged. Even like don't be a negative Nancy like Blake Reniker over here and be like, we're not
talking about.
No, I'm just messing. But seriously, like enjoy. For me, this is extremely enjoyable. Like this is the best year I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I'm with you.
Other
And
than DA,
just even talk about the Raiders game. Like you said after you had a couple of days kind of process it and everything. I remember like the game was over and then the Chargers game came on and I was watching the Broncos terrible in the beginning, and I'm like, Baker played a pretty good game. They dropped every pass. It's not like he was out there slinging the ball around because the wind was stopping everything. Yeah. So all in all, I was pretty pleased with the way he played. So and really honestly, as far as the offense goes, he's the one that needs to show that he's the guy.
Yep.
We can get offensive linemen in there. We can get running backs. We can get receivers, but we got to make sure we have the quarterback.
Agreed.
Yep. And because we have 5 wins already, draft isn't going to be an option.
nope.
Yep.
Right.
So it's going to have to, he's got to prove it, or we're going to have to make a move, trade, free agent, which
That's going to be the big thing too, is who's going to be out there. Because
I haven't looked that far ahead to see.
Yeah.
I
don't
did.
think-
I printed it last week, and the names. There's not a lot of names.
that there's a lot of
Maybe it was
really good quarterbacks going to be available. You're not going to get your top 4 quarterbacks coming out in the draft. They're just not going to be there.
No.
Unless we get a third round Russell Wilson or something like that, but
Right.
those
we've
come
tried
around
that
once,
before,
and
guys.
That's the thing,
we've
though,
tried
is
that
I don't think
35 times.
you're not sitting Baker for a guy you drafted in the
Yes,
3rd, 4th round as a
correct.
project, unless you bring him into camp and then he looks insanely good. But I mean,
well, that's how Wilson got his job. But that's the thing. Will we have a camp? You know what I mean? I don't know.
And I saw a report today, because COVID's still out there, that if there are some games, because now we're getting past a lot of the teams' bye weeks, that there's talk that one of the, I don't know if it's the Players Association, somebody would take to the table that they would extend the playoff to all 16 teams.
I saw that.
And so if we had to miss a week or 2 of games, they would kind of scrap the usual playoff system of, even though we've extended it this year to 7 teams from each division, that all 16 teams would get in. I think it was 16 teams, or I can't remember if it was 16. I think it was 16.
It was 16. It was 16.
So they would, wouldn't worry about making up those games. They'd just add another team in because, missing that game might have decided, this guy would have got in as the 7th seed, or kind of takes that away.
well, the election was supposed to be done today, but like 2 or 3 months when it's done,
2 or 3
we won't
months,
have to worry about it.
So just for fun, do you guys want me to list off a couple of these quarterback free agents?
Yes, let's do it.
So
Let's do
this
it.
is the future for you, Blake. You ready? Brett Hundley. How do you feel about Brett Hundley leading the 2021 Cleveland Browns? So a couple of these.
I didn't even know he was still in the league.
There's not a lot of names. Blake's looking at it. He's trying to find one name on there that's good.
I see one.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Is that who you're thinking? Or are you saying Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott.
He's not going to.
I don't think
Dallas
he's coming to Cleveland.
Dallas is going to. If he rehabs and comes back good, Dallas
Jerry
is locking
Jones
him.
isn't at his house yet. Hasn't been.
Oh, yeah. He's like,
see
hey,
it.
after you're done with that Campbell soup commercial, can we just finish this thing up, please, for the love of God? Or after the Serta commercial. I saw he was in a Serta commercial walking around. And
He's got a lot of free time right now.
Yeah, he's got a ton. This must have been pre-injury because I don't think he's actually doing that commercial, walking around and stuff. Just from what I saw.
I do see. So I'm not going to say Ryan Fitzpatrick because
He'll be 38
Yeah,
or 39.
And I feel like this year he was playing really well, but in his career, I feel like the scope of his career, he's like he plays well in spurts.
He's a career man.
Yeah. But
he is. I have a lot of respect though for Ryan Fitzpatrick because
Absolutely.
he gets asked to go to terrible teams, and they're like, okay, Ryan, you're gonna be our guy, and he like somehow finds a way to win a couple games, start turning some stuff around, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, thanks, Ryan. Next guy, we're gonna go ahead and see if you're the guy because Ryan got us this far. But we're kind of done with him. Then he has to go to another team, kind of set them up, goes to another team, kind of has to set them up. So I got a lot of respect for him.
one more name on here.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
That is interesting, and you guys might laugh.
I'm not going to laugh.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
going to laugh at that.
Because here's
Get the control.
he turns the ball over like crazy. Okay.
But that was also
how did Tom Brady look when it was 100% Bruce Arians offense at the beginning of the season?
pick.
Yeah. And then once they started incorporating Tom Brady's stuff, he hasn't turned the ball over anymore.
Yeah, once Brady said, look, I'm going to just go out here and do what I'm going to do and throw it where I want to throw it.
Maybe, I think Bruce Arians is a really good coach, but, maybe that wasn't all on Jameis that season. And so,
Well,
in our
super
offense, he's not going to be throwing 50-yard bombs all the time.
But he can.
He can. So I don't know. I think
I'm just going to say before this conversation gets too out of hand here and we really, maybe upset some fans out there.
Yeah.
I think we're fine. I think we're going to be good with Baker. I don't think we
This is
got
all
to be.
hypothetical.
This
Now,
is all
agree.
strictly Blake Renneker
listen to this
conversation.
though. The situation that we're in. So you're talking about 5 wins. We're too far into the season with winning to have a decent draft pick anyway. If it did come to that, how would you like to be the Bears? They got 5 wins. They don't have a quarterback next year.
no.
Okay. Just looking down the list. How about the Colts? They have 5 wins.
Yep.
Is Phillip Rivers playing next year?
He's a free agent next year.
Okay.
He's on this list.
He's not that good to begin with.
No. Hey, sorry, Colts fans, if you're watching. I'm sure they're freaking out.
Yeah, they're probably still tuning in. They like to hear me talk.
They hate Zach. Zach, jeez.
Which in that when I took him to lose to Cincinnati, Cincy. Joe Burrow, you let me down because I was going to have that one right too.
Yep.
But I also don't think if we do need to move on, I think free agent, obviously, but I think that we would look at trading teams that are looking to be starting over. I'm not saying I want Sam Darnold, but he'll probably be available.
Yep.
So, in that kind of situation, Matt Ryan, I think Matt Ryan's gone.
I think
Potentially Matthew Stafford, because I see them getting rid of.
I'd take Matt Stafford.
I see them getting rid of Patricia, and I see them possibly rebooting and starting over.
What about Cam Newton?
No.
Wait. So everybody here. Okay, I just want to say, everybody here was giving me crap.
For the
don't
record,
want Jared
also, I don't
Stidham,
want Jared Stidham either. Just for the record.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's nothing against you, Josh.
But I
trust me.
did say, Cam Newton looked terrible last time he was with the Panthers throwing the ball. It looked like he couldn't
That
do
team
it.
is in disarray.
What about when he had that one really good game this year? Though?
Seattle.
We were like,
threw for
dogged you
340
so hard,
yards.
Josh.
but Seattle's defense isn't that good.
Well, yeah, we're seeing that now.
So it's kind of
Man.
like these guys who have really good games against the Cowboys, and you can't judge that
Yeah.
because Dearness Johnson.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Odell Beckham. No.
There's going to be a lot of interesting things after this season on how some things play out.
Absolutely.
Tom Brady wins it all. Is he done? If he wins it all, he went to Tampa, kind of did what he wanted. Because I know he says, I'm going to play until I'm
he said
50.
He keeps saying he wants to play until he's 45.
Yeah, so
At
we'll
least.
see. We'll see about that. Drew Brees is kind of on the other side. Jameis Winston might be the leader of New
that's
Orleans
what I'm saying,
because
yeah.
I know they love Taysom Hill, but every
He's
time they put
30-some years old now, I think.
every time they put Taysom Hill in the game, he's always running the ball. So if he was that good at throwing the ball, you'd say, "Hey, we're just gonna throw a pass here to show everybody." And
Right.
they don't do that.
Jameis Winston in that offense with Michael Thomas and Sean Payton calling plays is to me legitimately scary. And
Right.
If he still turns the ball over 4 times a game,
Well, they still
then
they have
he's done.
Emmanuel Sanders,
Kamara.
Jared
Yeah, don't forget
Kamara,
that guy.
Latavius Murray. Man,
Yeah.
they have weapons.
If they have
down
a
there.
quarterback who could throw the ball more than 8 yards,
Yeah.
That's the thing. Drew Brees is starting to look like Peyton Manning's last season.
Yes,
Not
still
that
better
bad.
than Peyton.
Not that bad, but it's got
right.
I'm
It's
seeing
got-
some
you can see-
similarities.
yeah, I would agree with that.
I think he'll do one more year. I think he'll do.
I think it depends on how this year goes. I think if they make a long run,
And yeah,
I could see him kind of hanging it up at like one last long run. If they get booted quick for some reason, I could see him being like, "Hey, it can't end like that."
So
It'll be interesting.
Well, we kind of got off topic a little bit there,
Absolutely.
but that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, we're
Around the league.
Yeah, we're a well-rounded show here.
Yeah. That'll be what the off season's a little bit like, when we can't think of Brown stuff to talk about. Well, let's move into our game picks. We're not going to preview the Texans game next week, the bye week. We'll do that next week on the show, as well as previewing the rest of the season. So, how are we looking?
All right, so after week 8, okay, so we're halfway through here. We have records from last week. 3 guys tied at 8-6. So we've been doing really well.
I did really bad.
We've been doing like really good. Guys winning, double digits almost at least one guy. This week we had 3 guys at 8-6. Justin, you were 7-7.
Yeah,
so
trust me. There was a lot of games that I feel like it's the same thing every week. Everything's looking good. Fourth quarter, Chicago's doing great. I'm picking them. And then I check the final as I'm trying to get my legs to actually work again from leaving the game, and we can't do it.
So most of our wins and our losses were all the same, except credit to Josh.
Yeah,
Josh took
ridiculous.
Miami, but then he picked Detroit. So that was where your one-off was.
Unbelievable,
and then your extra loss was the Chicago loss.
Chicago absolutely.
Can we rewind though? There is no way the Dolphins should have won that game.
Second time I picked the Dolphins to upset somebody, and
really
they
good.
killed them.
I sent you guys that thing. I mean, it's like one of the first times where
The Rams ran 91 offensive plays.
they had 300 some yards passing. They outgained them by 400 yards or something and lost.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Unbelievable. Tua didn't look that good.
No, Tua didn't look that good. But hey, he's got a win
First
against
start.
Sean McVay.
Yeah.
Burrow didn't look like a
Their
game changer
defense-
his first game either against, I think it was Indianapolis.
Yeah, their defense
No.
is legit in Miami.
Very legit.
Their
Very,
defense
very
is
good.
good.
I like their coach.
Yeah.
They turned it around in a
Great draft.
yeah.
Which is
draft.
They
why
hit on almost every single
pick,
draft
which is
pick.
why I get angry at Browns fans when they're like, baby step. I mean, it doesn't take baby steps all
You
the
can
time.
turn it around quick.
Yeah. You have to just make the right smart moves.
And Browns fans' defense is Miami was also awful for about as long as the Browns.
But it took one good coach.
Well,
we got
maybe
one of
that's
those.
us too now.
Yeah, we think he's been around for a couple of years.
Hey,
So,
we're 5-3. We got a new coach,
Yeah.
Stefanski. I tell you what,
I like Stefanski.
I'm digging it.
I'm on board.
I like him. I think we're going to be 10-6.
Yeah.
Which is one away from what I picked at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so we just win one more game.
If we squeak one out against the Titans, who's looking a little vulnerable, who knows?
I think Justin,
we said that about the
Justin
Colts,
had us
too.
at 10-6.
I did.
We just can't lose any of these games that we need to win because I do
Right.
not want to go 9-7.
okay, come on. I mean, not to I know we'll preview next week, but I mean, I've been saying all year, I'm never picking Philly. I'm never picking New York, either of them. And we have all these guys on our schedule.
I watched that Philly-Dallas game, and
It was hard.
Dallas was in that game the whole time.
This Monday night, so
Dallas was in that game the whole time
Nice.
with their fifth-string quarterback, and they'd clearly given up. I mean, Carson Wentz looked awful. Call me crazy.
He's gone.
Here's the thing, though, is I think Carson Wentz is a good quarterback, but I think he needs a change of scenery.
you just said that Danny Dimes turns the ball over too much.
I think if Carson Wentz isn't in Philly, that it is way worse. Carson Wentz is the only person showing up in Philly.
I agree, but I don't think they love him for some reason.
Well, that's stupid.
I agree, but I don't think
he's
they
got
love
no
him.
weapons. No weapons. Miles Sanders is hurt. You're on the other guy where you're
Offensive line sucks.
Like,
Wentz will do well in New England.
But no, that's
they'll
like
reload if they don't get if he doesn't get Trevor
they-
Lawrence or Justin Fields. They're
they
like,
don't-
we got to go sign somebody.
they don't take Jalen Hurts second round if they love Carson Wentz.
No.
So if the Eagles continue to bomb and Carson Wentz continues to have bad games,
When you say
In-
bomb, they're leading the division.
In Eagles'
Come on now,
defense,
though.
I know,
in
come
Eagles'
on, I know.
defense, their other quarterback is Josh McCown, who coaches high school football all
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
long. He's just like they're like, hey, Carson got hurt, and he's like, all right, I'll get on a plane.
Yeah.
I get that.
That dude's got a sweet gig, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Sweet.
But I'm just saying, I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that he is not in Philadelphia next year. And
It's crazy talk.
if Baker doesn't live up to what we need him to be, I think that's a guy that we could get. That
It'd
we
be
should have
interesting. We could have drafted him.
we
Yeah.
could that we
could've.
should have drafted.
Yeah.
But we would have ruined him first. So
Right.
go ahead and let Philly ruin him, and we'll build him back up.
Okay.
So we'll see. But let's
yeah.
get into this week. Thursday night, Green Bay without Aaron Jones, without Jamal Williams, they're going to have two other running. Without
A.J.
Dillon,
Dillon.
they got two other guys to go to. Against San Fran with Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins, yeah.
It's back at quarterback. How long
Michael
will we
Hastings.
last, or will we see Blake's buddy CJ?
Yeah.
CJ Beathard.
Wow.
So
I think he mispronounced that.
Who wants to kick us off here?
Packers.
Packers.
Really?
I'll take the 49ers.
I'm going to go
All right.
49ers just because of how much the Packers are missing a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Green Bay because I'm really relying on that Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams connection.
Well,
in
it's
fantasy,
working.
So
It's working.
Actually,
I don't want to cheer against my team.
I change.
You're changing.
Solo.
Okay.
Are we allowed to do
now
that?
Here's the thing.
Who's following who
here's
because he's
my thing.
below me in the picks.
I said Green Bay's missing a lot, and then I remember that no team has more injuries than the 49ers.
And
Right.
So
Yeah,
playing
you
well
were talking
above
about not having your
expectations.
running back.
I
Yeah,
think that this is
so-
I think this is a good game. I don't think that
Yes.
Green Bay's going to light it up, but I just don't know if San Fran can keep up with Nick Mullins.
well, they're going to hand off to a running back, so they'll be fine.
Yeah,
They'll
one
be
of their
completely
6 that
fine.
they'll have on the field that
Yeah.
night. Okay, so that takes us into Sunday. Denver at Atlanta. Drew Lock, we kind of talked big comeback win this week.
I'm taking Denver.
I will also take Denver.
I'm going to look for my boy Drew Lock to build on that.
Give me hot Atlanta, baby. Give me hot
How
Atlanta.
can you pick Atlanta to win anything?
Well, because they just won, and I picked
Their
that
records
wrong.
are pretty close. So,
Yeah.
I am going to take Atlanta as well in this
Yeah.
game. Their weapons are still super.
Yeah, they're
They are kind of like Dallas. If you put their team on paper, you'd look at it and be like, it's a pretty good team, especially offensively. And then they can't win games. They find a way to lose games.
Yep.
Okay, big game right here. Seattle at Buffalo.
Seattle.
I will take Seattle.
I'm going to go Seattle.
It's at Buffalo. But
Josh, well, go ahead. You make your pick. and then-
I can't go. I think this game's going to be super close. I think it's going to be kind of high scoring because I don't like Seattle's defense. Buffalo's defense is pretty good, but they got to face Russell Wilson. And
Their defense is good when they play Russell.
It's either DK Metcalf's going to go off. You can take one of it that Russell Wilson's 2 guys away. You can take DK Metcalf away. Tyler Lockett will light you up.
Yeah.
Take Tyler Lockett away. DK Metcalf will light you up. So I'm taking Seattle.
Yep.
I think, Josh Allen started the season on fire.
He's regressing a little bit.
Yep.
Still going to win that division though. Just
Hey, you know what? We all said at the beginning of the season, well, at least I did. I said I wanted to see the Patriots suck before I picked against them. I've seen them suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Consistently.
yep. So I have no problem picking against them now.
All right, so that takes us into Chicago at Tennessee. Tennessee coming off a loss. Chicago coming off a tough loss. Who we got? Blake, we'll let you. You want to start us off? You were the biggest Chicago homer on this podcast, so you taking them over the Titans this week?
Titans looking a little rough the last couple weeks.
Oh boy.
Tough defense to run against. It's going to be a lot on Tannehill this week.
Great running back.
I'm
to shut
going.
down.
I got to go Titans though. Foles is awful, and if they go off Foles, Trubisky's awful. Their offense is hard to watch. The Bears' offense is.
I'm not saying Trubisky is a great quarterback. I'm not saying that.
Well, that's good.
I don't think he's terrible. I think that a lot of this is starting to fall on Nagy.
I agree
coach.
because there are times
Because Nick Foles, he has won a Super Bowl. He's shown you that he can, their offense is, they can't do anything. Can't
It's
run the ball. So
boring,
then
man.
everybody
it's
knows.
super boring, man.
They have there's no excitement. And they got some,
Yeah.
they got some playmaker. Allen Robinson is very
He's
good.
very good.
And that's the thing. When you have a head coach who comes in, he's supposed to be this offensive mastermind, right? We
Right.
hear that term every year. This guy's an offensive mastermind.
Right.
And your offense is a snooze fest?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Matt Nagy was
Year
gonna be
after
like
year.
coach of the year his first year. That was Trubisky's Pro Bowl season. He looked like a genius. But then the league figured him out a little bit. Same thing happened to McVay. He looked like
He's
a
kinda-
genius,
he's
and then
he
the league
rebounded.
figured him out.
Yes.
But then he refigured it.
Yes.
Nagy has yet to redo. And maybe it's because Trubisky and Foles are no good and Goff is better than both of them. I still don't – Goff, to me, isn't amazing, but I would take him over those two guys any day.
Oh, I agree.
And so maybe that's part of it. But, man, there were times I watched that game, though, and I thought if Trubisky was in, he would have at least been able to run for a first down.
Oh, Trubisky, that's the thing with having Trubisky in. He is a very good runner, and I just felt like everybody critiqued him and said, you got to be able to pass the ball. You can't pass the ball. You got to be able to. So then it was almost like a prove it. Okay, hey, if you can run for 70 yards a game, I like our chances of winning
Jackson.
a lot better.
Everybody loves Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And
He sucks at throwing.
Okay, Blake took Tennessee. I'm going to take Tennessee as well. I don't think they lose back-to-back games.
I am going to go with distant relative of Matt Nagy, Charlie Nagy, for Cleveland Indians pitching great. I'm going with Chicago. I don't know if that's
you're
actually
just trying
true.
to make us.
I just totally made that up, guys. I don't know if that's actually true at all. I'm actually going to go ahead and say it's probably not true. Chicago. Give me Chicago.
I'll take Tennessee.
So, Justin, you might be falling behind.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay,
I'm going wild card.
Baltimore at Indy.
Baltimore.
Yep.
Even though people are starting to figure out Lamar a little bit.
I'm taking Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, I'll take the Ravens.
It's
What a
kind of a tough
pick.
though, because Indianapolis is pretty good against the run. Will they make him pass?
Steelers are good against the run, too, though, and didn't the Ravens rush for like 200
Yeah, well,
yards?
J.K. Dobbins finally gave him the ball.
Yep.
They finally realized, hey, maybe this guy's a little special. We drafted him. Maybe we just give him a few carries, and it was like his first touch of the game was like a 40-yard run.
The Ravens losing Higbee is killing them. They can't run their 3 tight end set.
Right?
And that's what was so good about them last year. Now
You mean Hurst?
Yeah,
Hurst.
Hurst.
One
Yeah.
of the H's.
Yeah.
But that's killing them because their offense last year looked almost untouchable, and this year, I don't know if it really scares anybody.
Right. I agree. So, okay, that takes us into Carolina at Kansas City. Carolina's, I don't know, is Bridgewater playing this week? He got banged up on Thursday
They
night.
said he should be able to. But
I'm taking
We'll see.
Kansas City.
yeah, I don't think it really matters. Also,
The return of CMC is not going to
Oh, no,
beat
I'm cool.
Mahomes.
No.
You know what's
Not for
crazy?
me.
It'll hopefully help my
Yeah.
fantasy team, but it's
And
not
one
going to
mine.
need it.
Yeah.
And mine. I'd take it too.
My
Yeah.
fantasy team is done.
I played Blake Redeker again this week, actually, and
Oh.
we're both reeling.
This is a big week. It's like,
call me
gotta
cra-
win.
Yeah, so, not to get off topic with fantasy football, but I was looking at our league stats in the league we're in, not the one that you're in, and I'm like third in the league in scoring or something like that, and I'm in last
Place in record.
Porter has
Yes.
Porter has scored like 150 less points than me, and he's 7-1,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yep.
2 and
It's a match.
6 or
It's
something.
who you play that
Yep.
week. That's why a lot of fantasy, leagues don't do the matchup every week. It's you play against everybody. However many points that's how many wins you got that week. A lot of leagues do that. That way you
Well-
don't get screwed on. I had a super high week, but this guy had Dalvin Cook who just put up a 50 piece on me and I lost.
Yep.
Hey, but that's not how the NFL works. So I mean, the Browns
No,
go out and put
not
up
at all.
35 points and
Yep.
almost lose.
Right. So who you got? You taking CMC over Mahomes?
No, give me.
I thought maybe
Nice.
you were.
I was
Nice
trying to
segue
gain
there.
more on you guys.
Okay, so now we got the Lions without Matt Stafford at Minnesota and Dalvin Cook. Big game against Green Bay this week.
I'll
last week.
definitely take the Vikings.
I'm gonna go to the Viking. Maybe they figured it out. Maybe they'll be. They just got to start being more consistent.
Yeah.
They have good.
I don't know. Justin doesn't agree with you over there, but is he picking Detroit?
I don't know if I am picking
Chase
Detroit.
Daniels, the quarterback. they're
Chase
saying.
Daniels
Yep.
is going to be the
Or
quarterback.
David Blau or whatnot.
And
That
Galladay
was-
is going to be out also.
Yeah, so who you taking?
I'm going to take the Vikings. But I wanted to take,
If Stafford was playing,
I would
probably
definitely do
go
it.
Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going Minnesota as well. The Giants at the Washington football team. Who we got?
NFC
Give me the
East,
give me
baby.
the WFTs this week.
I think we're all
Alright.
losers for having to watch this game.
Oh, why? I'm not
I'm not
watching.
watching this game.
I'm not watching.
I'm skipping that one.
I don't got anybody on their fantasy teams, so I'm not watching this game.
I got Gibson.
I have Shepard in another league.
Give me Washington.
Blake,
The Giants just played Tampa Bay tough.
Oh,
their defense played pretty well. You've taken Danny Dimes.
Give me Washington.
Okay, I'm taking the Giants. Taking
All
the
right.
G-men. All right, let's go Houston Texans at Jacksonville without Gardner Minshew.
yeah.
I don't even know the guy's name. I picked him up in fantasy.
Jake
in 1 league.
Luton.
Yeah, Jake Luton.
Yeah, I had to pick him up. So
I'm allergic to gluten.
Not gluten. Gluten.
I'm going to take Houston in this game. I
Well,
just
that's a
think,
bold pick.
Yeah, I'm taking
Yeah.
Houston.
You're really going out on a limb there.
I'm going to go Houston also.
Oh, man. Yeah, I also will take
Yeah,
Houston.
All right, Vegas at Herbert and the Chargers.
All right.
Chargers.
Blake, you're a Vegas guy too. You've picked on them. You picked them a couple
I'm going
times.
to go Vegas because the Chargers are a little bit like the Falcons. Chargers will be up 2 or 3 scores and lose.
Yeah, they've blown 14-point leads, I think, in like 4 straight games. Josh?
Give me the Chargers. Let's see some Herbert.
Oh,
He's so
boy,
good.
this is tough. I'm going to take the Chargers. At home, I'm taking the Chargers. Pitt at Dallas. Anybody want Dallas?
No.
Oh,
All right, we'll get
This,
rid of that.
this game's going to
just-
be probably the most pathetic game.
it's going to look like a gladiator scene where the guy just goes in and murders
You got James
everybody.
Conner this week. Make sure you play him.
Yeah.
RB1.
You got
Anybody on the Steelers.
Yeah, no kidding. Steelers defense, everything.
Backup quarterback, whatever. Put him in.
Yeah, do it.
Miami
Cordell
Dolphins. Tua taking on Kyler Murray. Arizona coming off a bye. I'm taking, even though Miami's defense has gotten better, I like Arizona at home.
I'll take Arizona also.
I also am going to take Arizona. Good defense for Miami. This is Chase Edmonds' coming out party right here. He's not giving that game. He's not giving that position back.
All right, Josh. Sticking with your Dolphins?
Yeah, I'm going Dolphins.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
He's
Why
gonna
you just
ride
moved to
them.
Miami.
And
LeBron?
yeah, and here's the thing:
Tua
is
shines in this
I'm
one.
going to be watching the game. I don't know about that, man, but you've been pretty right a lot. So
I can't.
yeah, I can't even say anything bad to you about it.
All right, big game here of the week, Sunday Night Football. Drew Brees and the Saints against Tom Brady and the Bucks. The guys going back and forth for the touchdown record. I keep seeing it's like breaking news, Drew Brees, and it's like Tom Brady plays, and it's like breaking news, Tom Brady. So who we got Sunday night at Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay did not look good against the Giants, but how much is that? Was they looking past the Giants to the
I agree.
Saints? Played down to their competition a little bit. In my opinion, Tampa Bay kind of seems to be ascending, and the Saints just kind of seem to be treading water, get their wins. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
All right.
So I disagree with you about the Saints treading water, but in saying that, yeah, they're treading water and just winning every week. So I don't know how you tread water and win.
But you can tell they just don't look that great.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But I'm saying that I will take Tampa Bay because here's the thing. Tampa Bay, not only are they great on defense, they are all day a top 5 defense. Antonio Brown comes back this week.
Yep.
Even though Godwin's out, I don't even think it matters.
I'm
You really
taking.
think Antonio Brown's going to play that much?
I think he's going to play at least the first half, and I think it's not going to matter after that. I remember thinking that with New England, and the chemistry is there with those two
The only
guys.
thing with this game, though, is it is a divisional game, so
Yeah.
it does hold significance, as far as how the season shakes out for these two teams. So
Right. I'm going to take Tampa Bay as well. I just think that they have more weapons. I think that the Saints, if they get Michael Thomas back, they got to prove, that Drew Brees and him's connection can still be there with Drew Brees not being able to throw the ball downfield because Alvin Kamara can't be your leading wide receiver and your leading running back every single week. So I'm going to take the Bucks.
I don't know. CMC did it last year, so I'll take the Bucks.
All right, so that takes us into the thriller Monday night game, the Patriots at the Jets. That's what we get on Monday night. Thank goodness we don't have to have Booger on there announcing this game, too.
Thank goodness I got to work Monday night. God.
Who put this together? Neither one of these teams were projected to be great. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Are the Jets a sure lock and loaded 0-16 team?
Yeah, and
It looks like it.
How does this game not get bounced out of that
Can
and they
you-
flex something else to this?
What are you doing kind of if you're Trevor Lawrence and you're like, okay, I got COVID now, so he's out,
I'm coming back to Clemson.
if you're like
Absolutely.
going into this year, right? Going into this year and you're like, hey, I'm going to go win a national championship this year. I'm going to go number 1 in the draft. And now you're like halfway through your season. You're like, man, do I have to come back next year? Because I don't want to go play for that team.
Yeah, but it's like, do I want to come back to college and win a national championship?
Do you want to go make a bunch of money, be the face of a New York franchise?
Do I want to get a guaranteed $40 million signing bonus? I think I'll take the 40.
Yeah,
that's a lot of zeros.
Remember that there were a lot of good quarterbacks coming out when the Browns had the number 1 pick after 1-31. And they all came out anyway. So, and we were picking somebody.
And here's the thing:
Right.
is the Jets are a complete dumpster fire, but let's not pretend like the Browns weren't also a complete dumpster fire.
And let's also, we talk a lot about Trevor Lawrence, and the whole win never for Trevor type of thing that's been the theme for this year. Now that he's out a couple weeks, Justin Fields looks pretty good.
Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number 1 pick.
I agree, but Justin Fields
I don't know.
real good.
You think Justin Fields gets drafted over Trevor
Well, and
Lawrence?
here's the thing, though, with Trevor Lawrence and the
know.
Jets, and unless the Jets are like, seriously don't know anything, Adam Gase will not be the head coach. So he will have a brand new head coach. He'll have a new system in there.
Who knows? Maybe Dabo Swinney will come with Trevor Lawrence.
Hot take.
Ooh.
I mean,
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I was just throwing it into the
out
ether.
there. Yeah, you don't know. You never
Doing
know.
my job as host.
Yeah.
Getting the people
Okay.
talking here.
So I'm going to take, I think I'm taking the head coach in this game. I'm taking Bill Belichick.
You don't think Gase will outcoach Bill?
No, maybe Greg Williams. But man, both of these teams are bad. And it's a good, I like it a little bit for the Patriots. They've been good for so long. It's kind of nice that they
it's
had to take
humbling,
their lumps. But
Yeah, but I think Bill's real smart too, and I don't think he wants to win a lot of games.
do you think he's losing this game?
I don't think he'll.
You think he's losing this game? Be like, all right,
purpose.
he's circling these games, and he's like, if we
gotta
lose
play him
this one,
again.
maybe we'll lose to him again. Then they'll have the tiebreaker, so we'll have the worst record to get that number 1 pick.
Everybody else is playing checkers, and Bill Belichick plays
But
chess.
he just played.
Yeah.
They just played super well against Buffalo.
yeah,
Almost beat Buffalo,
but they.
but they didn't.
So I
They were
don't.
like, hey, we got to play, sell some tickets to our fans,
Do I
for
think-
season tickets next year.
Do I think they're going to tank for Trevor Fields? No. Would I be shocked at the end of the year the Patriots are sitting with 2 or 3 wins and they lost some games they should have won? Also would not be surprised.
So who you guys got? I took New England.
Oh, Patriots.
I'll never pick the Jets.
Wait a minute.
What?
Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Patriots, man. Come on now.
All right.
That's silly. That's silly talk.
Okay, so that wraps up our picks for this week. Just our overall records going into week 9. Josh, you're in first place, 4-game lead over myself. Blake, you are 1 game ahead of Justin. You are 6 games back of Josh. So that puts you 7 games back, Justin. With a chance to make some up this week.
And I truly believe that. And even if I don't, well, I mean, hey, where are we eating at, guys? I'm super hungry.
We're all looking up at Josh.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for checking out another live edition of the Dawgs podcast. The live episodes are super fun for us, so we're glad you guys like them. Remember, check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Please subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to tune in next week when we preview our matchup with the Texans, and we'll also give our outlook on the second half of the season, how we feel about how it's gone so far. The Browns are 5-3 and relevant at the bye, so enjoy it while you can, Browns fans, and we'll see you all next week.